Hello from Mindset Daily, wishing you a day full of health, peace, and happiness. Thank you for watching the Mindset Daily channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe to support us. Thank you so much. What if the only thing standing between you and the life you want is the way you see yourself? What if confidence wasn't something you earned, but something you decided to embody before success ever showed up? And what if, by acting like you already belonged at the top, your mind would begin to pave the path to get you there? When you carry yourself as though you already belong among the greats, something shifts. Your posture changes. Your tone sharpens. Your presence commands attention. You begin to speak not from uncertainty, but from intention. You walk not with hesitation, but with direction. That is the quiet power of belief, of moving from self-doubt to self-discipline, from hesitation to execution. You're no longer waiting for validation. You begin aiming straight toward the life you've always known was meant for you. The stakes? They're nothing less than your future. Because if you keep postponing action while waiting for the perfect moment, waiting to feel ready, you might end up waiting your entire life. But if you decide to move now, even before the fear fades, you change everything. In the next few moments, you're going to uncover how to act as if fear has no hold on you. And in doing so, you'll unlock the mindset that attracts success effortlessly. This isn't about pretending. It's about stepping into the power that's already inside you. Because here's the truth. What we often call limitations aren't written into the laws of the universe. They're not set in stone or built into the fabric of reality. No, those limits are constructed brick by brick inside the human mind. The boundaries that seem unbreakable, the ceilings that feel unreachable, and the walls that appear to block every dream. Those aren't real-world barriers. They are mental projections, internal constructs, invisible prisons made of belief, not fact. And once you see that clearly, not just understand it intellectually, but feel it in your bones, everything begins to shift. You stop accepting limits as truth, because limitations aren't facts. They're beliefs. And beliefs, they can be changed. They are not the steel bars of an impenetrable prison. These so-called limitations are merely shadows, fleeting illusions that vanish the moment the light of courageous thought shines upon them. Fear, when left unchecked, manufactures invisible chains. The person who allows fear to dominate their thinking becomes a prisoner of their own mind, shackled not by reality, but by imagination. But the one who rises, who chooses to believe in their own potential despite the doubt, begins a very different journey. A journey towards self-mastery, toward greatness. Take, for example, the extraordinary life of Hannibal Barca, the legendary Carthaginian general. From a young age, he was trained not just for battle, but to reject the notion of impossibility itself. At a time when Rome loomed over the known world like an unshakable empire, Hannibal dared to challenge it. Not through talk, not through theory, but through bold, decisive action. He led his army, not just men, but elephants, across the frigid, unforgiving Alps. A journey most considered madness. It wasn't just the altitude or the cold that threatened to break them. It was the ever-looming fear, the persistent voice that whispered, "This can't be done." Yet Hannibal didn't bow to fear. His path wasn't easy. It was etched through blizzards, over crumbling cliffs, and across terrain that swallowed the weak. But he kept moving forward, not because he was blind to the danger, but because he refused to be ruled by it. So what fueled this rare kind of audacity? It wasn't luck. It wasn't applause. It was conviction, the quiet but powerful decision to reject fear as his master. Hannibal understood something most people never grasp. Fear grows when you feed it, but fades when you face it. He didn't seek comfort. He didn't wait for certainty. He didn't surrender to the threat of failure. He stepped into the unknown again and again, carrying only faith in his mission and trust in his preparation. And as a result, his legacy became inevitable. His name endured, not because he was handed success, but because he dared where others doubted. At every critical moment, each of us is given the same fundamental choice. Will you retreat in fear, or will you step forward in faith? Act boldly, or retreat in fear. This is the crossroads we all face. One path leads to growth, transformation, and the unfolding of our true potential. The other? It leads to decay, slow, silent, and often unnoticed until it's too late. Yet, most people choose the latter, clinging to their comfort zones as if they were fortresses. But what they often mistake for safety is not peace. It's stagnation disguised as wisdom. True peace, the kind that brings power, clarity, and confidence, doesn't come from hiding. It comes from facing the unknown, from stepping forward into uncertainty with calm conviction. It's the peace found only in movement toward purpose, in bold pursuit of the life you're meant to live. Fear is a deceiver. It tells you you're not ready, not capable, not worthy. It speaks in soft tones, pretending to protect you. But what it truly does is imprison you. It warns that failure is dangerous and that rejection is something to fear. But let's ask honestly, when did failure become the enemy? Isn't it, in truth, one of our greatest teachers? Rejection is not a dead end. It's a redirection, guiding you closer to where you actually belong. Each failure, each setback, is a rung on the staircase to greatness. And the only true danger? Inaction, the silent assassin of dreams. While we wait, while we hope for the right moment, life continues moving. And that moment we were waiting for, it rarely arrives. If you want to dissolve your limitations, you must act. Not tomorrow, not after another plan is drawn, not when things feel easier. You must act now, because action, especially bold action, is alchemical. It transforms what once seemed impossible into something inevitable. This kind of action isn't reckless. It doesn't ignore risk. It simply refuses to be ruled by it. Boldness is not about charging blindly. It's about aligning your behavior with your deepest convictions. It's choosing to honor your vision, even when fear tries to pull you away from it. And that discipline, to act in spite of fear, is what sets high achievers apart. They don't move because the path is easy. They move because the dream is worth it. You're greater than any obstacle in front of you. That's not some motivational slogan. It's a fundamental truth carved into your very being. Every challenge you face is not there to break you. It's an invitation, an open door, asking, will you rise? And those who rise, who choose to act, to persist despite uncertainty, come to a powerful realization. The walls they feared were never real. The ceilings that seemed unbreakable, just illusions. The limits that appeared so permanent, merely thoughts, constructs of the mind, not facts of reality. Within every person, there exists a fire, a silent, unshakable will. It doesn't scream. It doesn't demand attention. It lies dormant, buried beneath layers of fear, self-doubt, and hesitation. But when you move with conviction, when your actions are fueled by belief rather than fear, that fire awakens. And once it does, it becomes your guide. Imagine walking through a thick fog of uncertainty, unsure of where the road leads. That inner fire, your purpose, becomes the light that cuts through that fog. It burns down hesitation, clears away indecision, and propels you forward with clarity. This is not reserved for the lucky few. It is available to all who dare to act boldly, without needing guarantees. Greatness doesn't belong to the wishful. It doesn't favor those who wait for the perfect moment. It answers the call of the doers. The ones who leap before the path is clear, who build their wings on the way down. These are the ones who reshape the world, the builders of empires, the authors of change. The chains that bind us aren't crafted by society, or circumstance. They are forged in the quiet corners of the mind. And just as they were created by thought, they can be broken by action. Purposeful, courageous, unapologetic action. So step forward. Take the leap. Watch the chains shatter and the barriers fall. You'll see the world open up in ways you never imagined. Not because it changed, but because you did. You are not limited. You are limitless. But that truth won't be revealed through dreams or plans alone. It will be revealed through action, through movement that affirms your belief in who you truly are. And now, we arrive at the second truth. It shapes your reality. In the invisible workshop of your mind lies a force more powerful than armies, more transformative than any material resource. The power of thought. This force does more than influence your mood. It sculpts your character. It lays the foundation for every future success. Every person who has ever climbed from obscurity to greatness has first done one thing. They mastered their thoughts. Act as if fear does not exist, and you'll be amazed at how quickly your environment begins to respond. Your posture changes. Your decisions sharpen. The world, sensing your inner conviction, begins to rearrange itself to match your new standard. Why? Because fear was never real. It was only a thought, wrapped in layers of uncertainty and disguised as caution. When you cast aside that illusion, when you stop entertaining fear as truth, something extraordinary happens. Your authentic self begins to rise. The part of you that was always capable, always bold, always ready, starts to step forward. The person who learns not to eliminate fear, but to dominate it, becomes the true master of their fate and the unwavering captain of their soul. It all begins with thought. Your thoughts are seeds. From them grow beliefs. These beliefs determine the quality and direction of your actions. And repeated actions, over time, form the habits that build the life you live. So, if you want to transform your reality, you must begin where it all starts, within your thoughts. Every breakthrough, every ounce of progress, every moment of peace or prosperity, it all originates from within. The man who holds a firm, unshakable belief in his purpose walks with different energy. His gaze is locked on his vision. His words carry strength. His steps are bold, not because he sees every outcome, but because he trusts the righteousness of his mission. And when one moves with that level of inner certainty, the external world responds. Doors open, paths appear, fortunes shift. In contrast, the person ruled by fear remains stagnant. He delays. He second-guesses. He searches for reasons to wait, to hold back, to stay small. And while others rise and step into their calling, he watches from the sidelines, trapped by the invisible chains of doubt that he never questions. To think without fear is to unlock a new dimension of power. It is to rise into the realm of possibility, where your potential is no longer capped by what-ifs or imagined failures. It is to boldly claim your dream before the journey even begins, planting your flag on the summit of your ambition, long before the first step is taken. History does not remember the cautious. It remembers the bold, the ones who believed when belief was unpopular, the thinkers who refused to shrink, the visionaries who imagined bridges before the first stone was laid, who dreamed of empires when the world around them only saw limitation. These are the authors of peace, the builders of legacy. And this mindset can be yours if you choose to think without fear. Their victories were not born from comfort or certainty. They were sparked by courageous imagination. It wasn't the absence of fear that moved them forward, but the presence of bold thought. So now ask yourself, what kind of reality are you shaping with the thoughts you carry today? What grand vision have you quietly buried beneath the weight of fear or hesitation? And perhaps the most important question of all, what might you become if your thoughts were focused solely on success? You see, no one is ever defeated by external forces alone. True defeat always begins in the mind. It starts with self-doubt, with small compromises in belief, and grows quietly until it becomes the lens through which you see the world. That's why the shift must begin internally. Adopt the mindset of a victor. Envision yourself not as who you've been, but as who you're becoming. Begin to act in alignment with that vision. Speak with purpose, as though your words carry the weight of the future. Walk with intent, as if every step is part of a larger, unstoppable journey. And above all, choose thoughts that uplift, empower, and move you closer to your aim. Because when your thinking becomes fearless, you no longer wait for external permission. You generate opportunity from within. The world bends not for the hesitant, but for the daring. Every structure, every innovation, every revolution in history began as nothing more than a firm, unwavering thought in the mind of a bold thinker. So what about you? What reality will you bring into existence? Guard your thoughts as you would guard treasure, for they are the seeds of your destiny. Think with clarity, think with power, and let the strength within you reshape the world around you. 3. It turns setbacks into stepping stones. Every individual who dares to rise beyond mediocrity must, at some point, confront adversity. It is not a matter of if, but when. Life will test you. It will throw roadblocks in your path, derail your plans, and challenge the limits of your patience and endurance. But here's the truth known only to those who have reached the heights of greatness. Setbacks are not roadblocks, they're ramps. And how you respond to them doesn't just influence your progress, it determines your trajectory. You see, most men stumble and stay down. They curse the moment. They question their own worth. They begin to believe that the fall defines them. But the man who is truly determined, the one who has anchored his heart to a purpose that burns brighter than any setback, sees things differently. He views failure not as punishment, but as preparation. He understands something essential. Adversity isn't the end of the road. It's the shaping ground of greatness. There is undeniable power in this perspective. There is wisdom in the ability to interpret failure as feedback. What would change in your life if every obstacle became a lesson? If every delay became a message? This shift in mindset doesn't just lighten the load, it transforms the entire journey. When you choose to think this way, when you act with courage despite defeat, you ignite a force that few ever discover. Failure stops being a wall and becomes a window. Every mistake becomes a stepping stone. Every no becomes a necessary redirection. And over time, what once felt like resistance becomes the very force that propels you forward. Consider Alexander Graham Bell. His vision to transmit the human voice across great distances was once the object of ridicule. In his lab, he met setback after setback. Prototypes broke. Ideas faltered. Critics scoffed. The noise of failure was deafening. But Bell did not surrender. He did not crumble under doubt. He stayed the course. Why? Because he never saw failure as defeat. He saw it as instruction. Each malfunction pointed him closer to the truth. Each delay refined his method. And with unshakable faith in his purpose, he kept moving. He converted every fall into fuel. And those setbacks became the very stones on which he stepped to create the telephone, a device that would transform the world forever. Now the question returns to you. What will you do with your own setbacks? Will you see them as chains meant to bind you? Or will you use them as chisels to sculpt your future? The most powerful transformation you can ever undergo is this: realizing that nothing in your journey is wasted unless you allow it to be. Not pain, not rejection, not failure. None of these are final unless you allow them to be. Every experience you encounter in life is either a lesson that refines you or a lever that lifts you. It's never truly about what happens to you. It's about what you choose to do with it. That choice is what separates the defeated from the resilient. Living fearlessly doesn't mean you'll never fail. It means you refuse to be defined by defeat. It's not the denial of adversity. It's the unshakable belief that adversity is fleeting and that your strength is more enduring than the storm. When your mind embraces this truth, a powerful shift begins to unfold. Suddenly, obstacles aren't blockades. They become the path. Challenges aren't interruptions. They become instructions. The man who triumphs over his circumstances is not the one who avoids hardship, but the one who refuses to let temporary setbacks harden into permanent limitations. He gets up again and again, and each time he does, he stands taller. He walks wiser. He becomes sharper and more resilient. Have you ever wondered why setbacks often strike just when you're making progress? It's because life tests those who dare to dream big. These trials are not punishments, they're questions. And the question is always the same. How badly do you want this? If your answer is steady, if your will remains firm, then the path will clear and your steps will quicken. So, when failure knocks, don't turn away. Open the door. Greet it with curiosity. Ask it, what are you here to teach me? Extract the lesson. Absorb the wisdom. Then move forward with clarity, with courage, and without hesitation. Do not linger in pity. Do not drown in doubt. Let your mind rise above your conditions. That is how the giants of industry stood tall. That is how the pioneers of invention broke through the unknown. That is how the leaders of great change shaped the world. They refused to allow a single setback to define the final story. They turned their setbacks into staircases. Each misstep, each difficulty, a step upward towards something greater. And your journey will be no different. Trials will come. Some will shake you, others will test your limits. But if you carry the right mindset, if you meet each trial with determination rather than defeat, you'll find yourself growing stronger, clearer, and more aligned with your ultimate purpose. Let every setback sharpen your vision like a blade refined by fire. Let strip away distraction and deepen your sense of purpose. Let each stumble build in you an inner strength that no hardship can break. Because, in truth, failure does not exist in a way we've been taught to believe. What we call failure is nothing more than feedback, lessons in disguise, stepping stones in the making. Your attitude is the compass that guides your life. Will it point toward retreat or resilience? Will it bend under pressure or rise in purpose? The direction it takes is yours to set, because attitude unlocks something deeper. It awakens your true potential. There will come a defining moment, maybe more than one, when the road ahead is clouded, when clarity is gone, and doubt wraps itself around your every thought. In that moment, you will face a simple choice: stand still or step forward. Which will you choose? Remember this: fear is the lock on the gate of your destiny. But decisive, courageous action, that's the key that opens it. You weren't born to hesitate. You weren't built to shrink back in the face of the unknown. The same mind that creates fear also holds the strength to rise above it. And that strength is activated by one thing: action. Every man who's left a legacy behind, every leader, innovator, and changemaker did so by stepping forward despite fear. They felt the tremble of risk, but they moved anyway. Why? Because they understood a simple truth: action creates confidence, while hesitation feeds doubt. Take Andrew Carnegie, for example. He wasn't born into wealth. He wasn't handed success. He started with almost nothing. Humble beginnings, limited resources, and countless reasons to quit. But instead of surrendering to fear, he chose forward motion. And that decision, made time and again, changed the course of history. But deep within him burned a spirit that refused to wait for permission. He didn't wait for ideal timing or perfect conditions to align. Instead, he acted boldly, driven by a vision so vast and daring that many around him dismissed it as unrealistic, even absurd. He began with almost nothing, delivering telegrams, working long hours, absorbing every lesson, every detail. He paid attention. He listened. He learned. And then, step by fearless step, he started to build. He made the decision to invest in the one thing he could always control: himself. He immersed himself in knowledge. He sought out mentors, surrounding himself with people of wisdom and insight. And with each bold action, his courage expanded. That courage awakened something dormant inside him. Hidden talents, unshakable resilience, and a sharpness of mind that grew stronger with each decision he dared to make. From those modest, often overlooked beginnings, Andrew Carnegie rose to become one of the greatest industrialists the world has ever known. Not because he was lucky, not because he was born into wealth, but because he chose movement over fear, purpose over comfort. And this is the unchanging law of life. When you move boldly, life moves with you. You don't need to see the entire staircase to climb. You just need to take that first step. The act of starting, even if imperfect or uncertain, sets off a chain reaction you could never predict. Doors open, resources appear, people show up, strengths you never knew you had rise to the surface. All of it waiting quietly behind the wall of hesitation, ready to serve the one who dares to begin. Within you lie abilities yet untouched, talents still unexplored, and powers quietly resting beneath the surface, waiting to be summoned. But they will not awaken by thought alone. They stir through movement. They rise through action. So do not wait for fear to vanish. Do not sit idle, hoping for courage to arrive. Move while the fear is still present. Step forward even as your heart pounds. Because every single action taken in the face of fear weakens its grip. And before long, you'll glance back and wonder why you ever doubted your strength in the first place. The true difference between those who achieve greatness and those who simply dream about it isn't talent. And it's not luck. It's initiative. It's the quiet but firm voice inside that says, even though I'm afraid, I will act. That is the turning point. Action is the alchemist that transforms vision into reality. It is the bridge that connects what is imagined to what is lived. It converts thoughts into outcomes, hopes into achievements. And here's the truth. The more fearlessly you act, the more powerful you become. Fear, however, is clever. It doesn't always come dressed as panic. It often wears the mask of logic, of caution, even of wisdom. It whispers that now isn't the right time, that you should wait, that you're not quite ready. But make no mistake, its true purpose is to keep you small, to keep you still. And where you are is not where you are meant to remain. So, let me ask you, what dream have you put on pause? What idea have you left collecting dust? What goal is still locked behind the gates of hesitation? The truth is, the key is already in your hand. You've had it all along. Use it. Take the first step. Say the words that matter. Make the call you've been postponing. Begin the work. Set your vision in motion. Because in movement, your strength begins to reveal itself. You will not discover what you're truly made of until you are tested. You will never uncover your full capacity until you take that leap. And in that leap, fear begins to shrink. In that leap, you begin to rise. Remember this simple truth. Fear is the lock, but you already hold the key. And that key? It's action. Turn it. Step forward. Walk boldly into the life you were meant to live. Into your purpose. Into your greatness. 5. It guides your courageous actions. There is a widespread misconception that needs to be shattered. Acting without fear does not mean the fear vanishes. No man who ever did anything extraordinary was completely free of fear. In fact, fear was often present at every turn. But the critical difference between the ordinary man and the one destined for greatness is this. The great one moves forward anyway. Courage isn't born in calm waters. It is forged in the storm, in moments of chaos, when the outcome is uncertain, and when the path is anything but clear. To act with courage is to say, my purpose is greater than my fear. It's to stand tall when everything in you wants to shrink. It's to whisper forward when your mind screams retreat. Look at Ulysses S. Grant. He knew fear intimately. In battle, he often faced impossible odds. Chaos, doubt, and destruction surrounded him. But what defined him was not the size of the challenge. It was the choices he made within it. While others stalled in hesitation, he advanced. While others were paralyzed by uncertainty, he issued commands. His legacy was not crafted by ease, but by relentless, consistent courage. Grant didn't wait to feel brave. He chose bravery, again and again, until eventually, courage became his identity. And so it must become yours. Because fear, in truth, is not your enemy. It's a signal. It lets you know that you're standing at the edge of transformation. Fear appears precisely when you step into the unknown, when you move beyond what's familiar, when you grow. And in that moment, you're given a choice: freeze or rise. Will fear stop you, or will it fuel your next breakthrough? Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to move forward despite it. Every time you act with courage, you reinforce a truth deep within: I am capable. With each bold step, each brave decision, you begin to rewrite your identity. No longer someone defined by fear or hesitation, but someone led by vision, by purpose, by resolve. Understand this with clarity. Courage is not a one-time act reserved for epic moments. It is not something granted only to heroes, nor is it born in the spotlight. Courage is a habit, a way of being available to you in every ordinary, everyday decision. It shows up when you speak the truth, even when silence would be easier. It rises when you leap toward a dream, even when comfort urges you to stay. It strengthens when you stand alone, if that's what it takes to stand for what's right. These are not grand, cinematic moments. They are deliberate, small decisions that, repeated over time, begin to change the course of a life. Courage builds momentum. It doesn't always roar with confidence. Sometimes it's just a whisper that says, try again tomorrow. But here lies its power. It compounds. Each small act of bravery becomes a deposit in your internal bank of self-trust and belief. And over time, that balance grows. Eventually, you begin to walk differently. You approach obstacles with confidence rather than fear. You face uncertainty not with dread, but with readiness. Because you've trained yourself to respond with strength. The man who chooses courage, not once, but daily, becomes unstoppable. He becomes someone the world cannot ignore, because his spirit commands attention. So ask yourself, what would you do if fear no longer held you back? What conversation, what action, what dream have you delayed because fear has had the reins? And more importantly, what could become possible if, just once, you chose to move forward in spite of it? This is your invitation. The door is already open. All you have to do is walk through it. Choose courage. Not once, not occasionally, but every single day. Let it become your way of life. Speak with boldness, decide with clarity, and act with intention. Because each time you do, you step further into the person you were destined to become. Courage isn't something you stumble upon. It's not something you wait to feel. It is a deliberate choice. And when you make that choice consistently, everything begins to change. Fear might still visit, but it no longer commands the throne. You're no longer guided by hesitation or overwhelmed by worst-case scenarios. Instead, you're led by conviction. You act, not because you're certain of success, but because you're committed to what matters most. You're no longer paralyzed by what could go wrong. You're energized by what must go right. Let courage be your compass. When you do, you'll never truly lose your way. Because in the journey of life, the bold aren't the ones who start with all the answers. They're the ones who create their strength, one intentional, brave decision at a time. 6. It eliminates doubt. Doubt is perhaps the most crippling force to the human spirit. It doesn't shout, it whispers. It feeds hesitation, delays progress, and quietly drains potential. Doubt doesn't often stop you in one dramatic moment. It slowly chips away at your drive until you're no longer sure if your dream is even worth pursuing. But here's the truth known by every person who has ever done something extraordinary. Doubt paralyzes, but fearless action liberates. When you move forward with boldness, when you make decisions with conviction and take decisive steps, doubt cannot survive. It weakens, it shrinks, it disappears in the presence of unwavering motion. Because doubt is not a force of truth, it is a shadow cast by fear. And shadows do not survive in light. History is filled with those who stood firm in fearless purpose, but few embodied this more than Susan B. Anthony. In a time when women were told to be silent, when every word she spoke was challenged by law and rejected by custom, she chose to stand, to speak, to lead. She moved forward, not in the absence of fear, but in defiance of it. And in doing so, she shattered not only the boundaries placed upon her, but the doubts that had held countless others in place. She never waited for approval. She didn't pause to ask for permission or allow the weight of public opinion to shape her steps. Doubt had no seat at her table. Her mission was unwavering. Justice, equality, and a fierce belief in the dignity and worth of every human being. And with every act of defiance against injustice, with every step forward in the face of resistance, she didn't just silence her own doubts, she cleared a path for others to follow. Her fearless commitment became a beacon. It lit the way where no road had previously existed. It turned questions into convictions. It turned hesitation into movement. And what she did, you can do too. Understand this deeply. The moment you choose to believe in your mission with your full heart, doubt begins to lose its grip. It can no longer sway your judgment, delay your decisions, or dim your momentum. Because at that point, your vision becomes stronger than your fear. It's not doubt itself that stops progress. It's how much of it you're willing to tolerate. When you move with conviction, when your actions are backed by clarity and purpose, something powerful unfolds. You stop asking for signs. You stop waiting for perfect timing. Instead, you become the architect of moments, the one who initiates change rather than waiting for it. You start to believe, not because the world claps for you, but because you've chosen to believe in yourself. You've decided that your mission matters, regardless of external approval. And that decision alone starts to dissolve doubt. Fearless action is the antidote. It silences the inner whisper that asks, "What if I fail?" and replaces it with a more powerful question, "What if I succeed beyond all expectation?" Doubt thrives in stillness, in hesitation, in delay. But it cannot survive where there is bold, consistent movement. Each time you take action, even if uncertain, even if scared, you chip away at the foundation of doubt. And with every courageous step forward, your belief grows stronger. You are not waiting to be confident. You are building confidence with every move. With each bold choice you make, your confidence grows. Not by accident, but by design. So don't wait to feel certain before you take the leap. Certainty is not a requirement for action. It's a reward for having acted. Let that truth settle in. How many dreams have been buried in the graveyards of hesitation? How many extraordinary gifts have gone unseen simply because someone listened too long to the voice of fear? That cannot be your story. The world doesn't celebrate those who waited until they were sure. It honors those who moved, who dared, who pressed forward despite the trembling. Not because they were fearless, but because they refused to let doubt steer the wheel. Doubt asks, "What if I fail?" But fearlessness answers, "What if I fly?" Doubt delays and analyzes. Fearlessness chooses and acts. Doubt hesitates on the edge. Fearlessness steps forward, and with that step, transformation begins. It is action that breeds confidence. It is movement that opens doors and reveals new paths. Within you is a mission, a calling that was given to no one else. Do not allow hesitation to smother that flame. Do not allow fear to hold the pen that writes your story. Choose belief, not because you have every answer, but because your vision matters. Choose clarity, not the clarity of having no fear, but the clarity of knowing your purpose is bigger than your fear. And above all, choose action, because when you act with courage, you generate momentum. You create certainty. You invite strength to meet you where you stand. Doubt cannot survive in a heart lit with conviction. Let your purpose burn hotter than your hesitation. Let your forward motion drown out every whisper of insecurity. Fearless action is not an emotion. It is a choice. And every time you make that choice, you step further away from doubt and closer to the life you are meant to live. Now, let's explore the seventh truth. It builds confidence. The world tells a lie again and again. That confidence is something you're born with. But is it really? That myth, the one that says confidence is something you either have or you don't, must be shattered. Confidence is not a birthright. It is not gifted to a select few. It is earned. It is built choice by choice, moment by moment. Like a muscle, it grows stronger only when tested, only when used under pressure. Confidence is the outcome of fearless action, not perfect action, not guaranteed success, just the simple, repeated act of showing up boldly in the face of uncertainty. Each time you take a step forward, even with trembling hands or a racing heart, you whisper to your subconscious, "I trust myself." And with repetition, that whisper becomes a roar. True confidence does not mean the absence of doubt. It is the repeated triumph over doubt. It's the quiet decision to keep moving when your mind suggests you're not ready. Think of Theodore Roosevelt. As a boy, he was frail, often sick, and painfully timid. Yet he didn't accept that as his final form. He chose to reinvent himself, physically, mentally, and emotionally. Day by day, he embraced discomfort. He wrestled with fear. He chose responsibility and challenge. Every act of effort became a brick in the foundation of his confidence. He didn't wait for bravery to arrive. He built it. And so can you. Imagine confidence as a deep wellspring. Each courageous decision is a drop of water. Each time you raise your voice when silence would be easier, another drop. Each time you act without knowing exactly how it will turn out, another stream flows in. Over time, your well fills. Eventually, it overflows. You begin to move differently. Your steps are sure. Your words gain weight. You stop second-guessing because you've taught yourself that you're trustworthy, that you will show up, that you will endure. Confidence isn't a destination. It's a way of being. It is built not in grand gestures, but in the quiet choices to rise rather than retreat, to act rather than hesitate. It is built every time you face a moment of vulnerability and still move forward. It is built when you challenge the lie that you're not good enough and replace it with the action that proves otherwise. Every remarkable leader, every person who has shaped history or inspired change, began with a single decision to trust in their ability. One small act of belief, then another and another, until that belief became their default state. If you wait to feel ready, you may end up waiting for the rest of your life. Readiness is not something that arrives with a gentle knock. It is something you create. The only path to readiness is through action. Confidence doesn't appear magically. It is forged through your exposure to challenge, one trial at a time. Just like a muscle that strengthens after it tears and rebuilds, your self-belief grows through resistance. The more you stretch your limits, the more capable you become. Every time you act in alignment with your purpose, even when fear is present, you deepen your certainty. You're not just moving, you're transforming. These are not just scattered efforts. They are repetitions, mental weightlifting, the heavy sets of character development. And with each rep, each uncomfortable action, each small risk, you build a foundation of real, grounded confidence. And here's the beautiful part. Confidence compounds. Today's small victories become tomorrow's breakthroughs. One act of courage sows the seed of an identity rooted in power. With time and consistency, that identity blooms, not by accident, but by your deliberate design. The man who acts consistently in the face of fear becomes unstoppable. His belief in himself is not built on fantasy. It is built on lived experience, on evidence. He has stood at the edge of uncertainty and moved forward anyway. He's learned that clarity doesn't come first, courage does. And over time, he no longer needs permission, applause, or reassurance. He moves because he knows. You have that potential within you, but it won't be unlocked through thoughts alone. Confidence isn't something you study, it's something you live. You must practice it, earn it, prove it to yourself through action. Every single day, life offers you a choice to shrink into comfort or to step forward into growth. And each time you choose growth, your potential expands. Not because fear disappears, but because you've decided that your vision is more important than your comfort. You must act as if it's already within you, because it is. You must carry yourself with the conviction of someone who understands that confidence isn't granted by others. It is built by you. So begin. Begin now. Even if it feels small, even if the first step is uncertain. Take it, because every bold action, no matter how minor, creates motion. And motion builds momentum. And with enough momentum, what can stand in your way? Confidence is not a reward you sit around hoping to receive. It is a structure you construct, one action at a time. And once you've built it, you'll enter every room, confront every challenge, and chase every dream with the unshakable belief, I belong here. This is what ensures lasting success. There's a kind of success that flares briefly, bright like a candle in the wind, only to vanish when the conditions change. But then there is the kind of success that endures. It stretches across decades, influences generations, and withstands storms. That kind of success isn't built on hype, emotion, or chance. It's engineered. It's the product of fearless decisions made repeatedly, of resilience developed in the dark, of relentless personal growth pursued without applause. It's not about winning once. It's about becoming the kind of person who wins again and again, not by luck, but by identity, by belief, and by the way they respond under pressure. Consider Cornelius Vanderbilt. He didn't start with wealth. He wasn't handed power or position. His empire began with a single ferry boat, a modest operation, small in scale, easy to overlook. But behind that small beginning stood a man who refused to remain small. His resources were limited, but his spirit was vast. Vanderbilt saw possibility where others saw peril. He recognized potential wrapped in risk and pursued it with unwavering resolve and fearless action. Each decision he made, calculated, bold, and deliberate, moved him forward while others hesitated. He reinvested, expanded, and kept pushing boundaries, even when the path ahead was unclear. That one modest ferry operation, seemingly insignificant at first glance, became the foundation of a shipping and railroad empire that would reshape the American economy. His wealth became legendary, but what mattered more was not how much he gained, it was how long it lasted. His success wasn't a momentary spark. It endured. And it endured because it was born from a fearless vision and strengthened through disciplined daily action. Understand this clearly. Temporary success can visit anyone. A stroke of luck, a right place, right time moment, can lift a person briefly. But lasting greatness, that kind that holds firm through decades, disasters, and doubt, is reserved for those willing to face their fears day after day. Fear wears many disguises. Sometimes it arrives as caution. Other times it slips in as overthinking, disguised as logic or being realistic. But its mission is always the same: to stall you, to trap you in the safety of comfort, to keep you from the edge of growth. The person who achieves long-term success doesn't eliminate fear. He just stops waiting for it to leave. Instead, he chooses to act in spite of it. He understands that every second spent hesitating is a second surrendered. Every excuse is a step in the wrong direction. So he makes a choice, over and over again, to move forward. True, unshakable success doesn't crumble under pressure, criticism, or change. It is built on a solid foundation, a core that can't be rattled. And that core is forged from 3 essential principles. First, fearless commitment. This means you're all in, not just when it feels easy or when the odds favor you. You commit when the ground trembles, when doubt creeps in, when the outcome is uncertain. You're not casually chasing success. You're devoted to it. You wake up for it. You fight for it. You build your life around it. Consistent action. This is where greatness truly begins. It means showing up, doing the work, pressing forward even when no one is watching. It's not about flashy moments or grand gestures. It's about the quiet, determined effort you repeat day after day. Boldness once may bring you a single win, but boldness every day, that builds legacies, that builds empires. Persistent courage goes even deeper. It's not about pretending to be fearless. It's about rising each time you fall, standing firm when the winds of resistance blow hardest. It's about refusing to let failure define you. Every setback becomes a lesson. Every failure, a sharpening tool. And each obstacle, an invitation to become more, not less. If your aim is to build something that lasts, something that stands long after the excitement fades, then you must stop chasing quick wins. Stop searching for shortcuts. Stop performing for applause or waiting for the perfect moment to begin. Instead, build a foundation rooted in discipline and courage. Choose the hard path. Speak the truth even when your voice shakes. Step forward even when fear tells you to turn back. Say yes to opportunities that scare you. Take the chances others walk away from. Embrace the challenges that make others retreat. That's where real growth lies. That's where enduring success is born. Not in one bold move, but in thousands of small, brave moments that compound over time. To the outside world, those days may seem insignificant, invisible, but you will feel it. Deep inside, you'll sense the shift. You'll notice the change. The way you move, the way you decide, the way you rise. And eventually, the world will notice too. Not only in what you've accomplished, but in who you've become. Because the world doesn't just reward talent. It rewards persistence with purpose. It honors those who refuse to quit. It celebrates those who show up again and again, doing the hard thing. Not once, but as a way of life. So don't settle for momentary glory. Don't be satisfied with a single spark of brilliance that fades as quickly as it came. Set your sights higher. Aim for legacy. Build a life so rooted in purpose, so committed to fearless action, that it becomes a lasting monument to who you truly are. Let your journey serve as a masterclass in relentless discipline and unshakable resolve. Because when your choices are rooted in courage, your success becomes eternal. Now remember this. Courage may drive the engine of fearless living, but optimism is the fuel. It's the spark that ignites the fire inside you. It's the unseen force that lifts your spirit when life tries to drag you down. And don't mistake it for simple positivity or surface-level cheer. True optimism is a strategic advantage. It's a mindset forged in resilience, designed not just to survive difficulty, but to rise through it. Think of it this way. Optimism isn't the denial of pain or hardship. It's the conscious choice to believe in possibility, even when everything around you says otherwise. It's the ability to look straight at the fire and still choose to walk through it, because you know what lies on the other side. Benjamin Franklin knew this truth well. Born into a working-class family with little formal education, he faced setbacks in nearly every arena of life, from science to politics. He was criticized, ridiculed, and often underestimated. Yet he moved forward, again and again. Why? Because he saw possibility where others saw limitation. He chose to believe in progress, even when surrounded by failure. This is the quiet power of optimism. It doesn't shout, it doesn't boast. It simply refuses to be extinguished. Yet despite every failure, every insult, and every door that slammed shut, Benjamin Franklin never surrendered to despair. Why? Because he made a choice, a deliberate, powerful choice to embrace optimism. He transformed every obstacle into a stepping stone. Each rejection became a redirection, guiding him towards something greater. His positive mindset became the engine that powered his persistence long after others had quit. It was through this optimistic resilience that Franklin evolved into more than just a thinker. He became a statesman, an inventor, a philosopher, and ultimately, one of the principal architects of an entire nation. His triumphs were not solely the product of raw intellect or innate talent. They were the outcome of his unyielding belief that something better was always possible, that a solution was always near if one dared to keep looking. You must adopt that same perspective. Understand this. Fear does not thrive in the presence of hope. It feeds on doubt, on pessimism, on imagined catastrophes and worst-case scenarios. It multiplies when you dwell on the belief that success is unlikely or that the future is bleak. But when you choose optimism, you sever fear's lifeline. You deprive it of fuel. The optimistic man doesn't see a mountain and turn around. He sees a climb and starts moving. He doesn't walk into the storm because he's naive to its power, but because he knows that beyond the clouds, the sun is still there, waiting. Optimism is more than just perspective. It's energy, and energy is what sustains momentum. Without optimism, even the bravest heart grows weary. You might launch forward with fire, but without vision, that flame flickers. Yet when your mind is fed with possibility, when you trade perfection for steady progress, you begin to cultivate endurance, the quiet strength that carries you to lasting victory. So ask yourself, what fuel are you giving your future? Because optimism doesn't just lift your mood, it elevates your entire path. Every meaningful goal demands a journey, and no real journey is without storms. You will encounter resistance, setbacks, and moments when the skies grow dark. But here's the truth. If your mind is flooded with fear, you'll pause at every thunderclap. You'll stall at every gust of wind. Yet if your heart is anchored in hope, you'll press on, even when the path ahead is shrouded in fog. This isn't fantasy. It's not blind positivity. It's a mental strategy, tested, proven, and vital. Optimism doesn't ignore hardship. It confronts it with a different lens. It declares, yes, this is hard, but I'm stronger. Yes, the climb is steep, but my resolve is deeper. Yes, the odds are high, but my will is higher. Optimism is a conscious decision, a daily one. It's shaped by your inputs, your language, your company, and your inner dialogue. What are you feeding your mind? What words are you choosing? Who do you allow into your circle? And what thoughts are you giving a home to? Nourish your thoughts with truth that uplifts. Speak about what's possible rather than what's missing. Surround yourself with people who challenge you to rise and support you when you falter. And most importantly, protect your mindset with intentionality. Because every act of optimism is a bold stand against fear. It is a declaration, I will not be stopped. So what does this look like in your daily life? It means saying, I'll find a way when others have given up. It means viewing failure as feedback, not a dead end. It means expecting that your effort will bring results, even if those results aren't immediate. It means moving forward when others step back. And at its core, it means believing that the road ahead holds more than the road behind, that your best work still lies in front of you, that your strength hasn't peaked yet. Because you are not created to live small. You are made for more. Optimism breathes life into courage. It gives your determination a reason to persevere. It reshapes your perspective, fortifies your commitment, and sharpens the clarity of your aim. You were never created to be overwhelmed. You were made to rise, to overcome, to prevail. The man who walks in optimism isn't simply more pleasant. He's a greater threat to fear itself. Why? Because hardship cannot break him. Failure cannot silence him. And delay cannot deter him. He sees the mountain, and he climbs it anyway, step by step, fueled by belief. Let that man be you. Choose optimism not as a fleeting emotion, but as a discipline, a mindset to be trained and strengthened daily. Teach your eyes to search for the good. Teach your thoughts to anticipate resilience. Teach your heart to believe, even when the evidence is scarce. And when you believe with that kind of consistency, you become a force that fear cannot touch. Because optimism is not soft, is not naive, it is power, is fuel. And with it, your ability to live fearlessly will stretch far beyond what you once thought possible. Your future is waiting, but not passively. It depends on what you do today. There is a truth, simple yet profound, that has the power to shift the direction of your life. Your future success is entirely shaped by your willingness to act in the absence of fear. Success doesn't wait quietly on some distant horizon. It is not a prize stumbled upon by accident or fortune. It is constructed, day by day, decision by decision, action by action, and the raw material that makes that construction possible: fearlessness. The future you dream of, the stronger version of yourself you envision. That man isn't hiding in the far-off years. He is being carved right now, in this moment, by the steps you take, by the risks you face, and by the fears you refuse to obey. So decide with clarity and conviction who you are becoming. Picture that version of yourself in vivid, unmistakable detail. See how he carries himself. Watch his habits, feel his discipline, his strength, his unwavering purpose. Let no part of the vision remain vague. The clearer the image, the stronger your direction. And once that image is alive in your mind, do what so few dare to do. Begin walking toward it without waiting for the fear to leave. Do not delay until you feel brave. Do not hope for the fear to fade. It won't. Fear will still be there. But you must realize something essential. Fear is not the authority. It is the obstacle. It is the signal. It is the test. Every chapter of human greatness, every invention, every breakthrough, every legacy was born at the intersection of fear and decision. At that crossroads, someone chose to act. Someone chose to defy hesitation. Someone placed purpose above comfort. And in that moment, destiny was born. You must understand this deeply. Your future is not a random event. It is not a matter of luck or timing. It is something you build brick by brick, decision by decision. And the place you begin that construction is not tomorrow. It's now. It's here. What you do in this moment, the thoughts you allow, the choices you make, the courage you summon, these are the seeds of your future. Speak with purpose. Think with clarity. Act without delay, because every day you hesitate is a day handed over to fear. Most people will never awaken to this truth. They will coast through life, reacting instead of building, waiting instead of choosing. They'll keep telling themselves they'll begin when the timing is better, when they feel more confident. But that moment never comes. And so, their future is left to drift in uncertainty. But not you. You've seen what others ignore. You've glimpsed the truth. And with truth comes responsibility. You now understand that each second is a turning point. Every decision is a direction. Every moment is a fork in the road. Every moment presents a choice, a chance to either lean into courage or retreat into comfort. And make no mistake, your destiny is not written in the stars. It is written in your decisions. It lives in the moments when you choose boldness over fear, purpose over hesitation, and truth over silence. Each time you act with intent, each time you confront resistance instead of running from it, each time you take that uncomfortable yet essential step forward, you carve a future built on courage. And that future, brick by brick, becomes one you'll be proud to live in. Understand this clearly. The extraordinary life you envision is not reserved for the lucky, the privileged, or the naturally gifted. It is reserved for the brave. It is claimed by those who dare to act when it's uncomfortable, who speak when silence feels safer, who lead when it would be easier to follow. So begin today, not tomorrow. Today, take that first bold step. Launch the business you've been thinking about. Initiate the conversation you've been avoiding. Share the idea you've kept hidden. Change the habit that's been holding you back. Break the pattern that no longer serves you. Don't look for permission. Don't wait for someone to validate your vision. Look inward and move. You are the architect of your destiny. The tools to build the life you want are already in your hands. Fear may come knocking, but it is greatness that must answer. Let your actions today mirror the man you are choosing to become. Not someday, but now. Let your choices speak clearly. I am ready. I am worthy. I am willing. Because that future you keep imagining, the one filled with purpose, impact, and fulfillment, it is not distant. It is not unreachable. It is one fearless step away. Embrace fearlessness not as a one-time decision, but as a way of life. Let it become your standard, your default, your discipline. Let it echo through your work, your relationships, your mission, and your vision. And when you do, watch what happens. Your life will begin to reflect not just motion, but momentum, not just achievement, but meaning. You are not meant for the ordinary. You deserve the extraordinary. But deserving alone is not enough. You must reach for it. You must claim it through bold, decisive action. And the only way to claim the life you truly want is to begin now, without waiting, without fear, without second-guessing. Fear may still whisper, but let your purpose speak louder. Because when you act in spite of fear, you take back control. You send a clear message to yourself and the world, I am ready for more. The life you dream of isn't waiting for perfect timing. It's waiting for fearless action. So ask yourself, if not now, then when? Embrace this truth. Fearlessness isn't about never being afraid. It's about not letting fear make your decisions. And when you live this way, something powerful begins to happen. Your dreams stop being distant fantasies and begin transforming into tangible reality. So act now. Take the leap. Trust your steps. Let this moment be the turning point. Wishing you strength, joy, and fulfillment on your journey. And don't forget to subscribe to Mindset Daily for more inspiration every week.